Good evening, everyone. Peace and blessings. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes for people to tune in and just provide an update dealing with this George Floyd case. So I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes for people to tune in, and then I'm going to get started. Also, I want you to know that right after this live stream, I'm going to do another live stream dealing with this gender war that's going on over this issue of George Floyd and, other cases as well. Comparisons that have been drawn between this case and cases involving black women victims of police brutality. So if you could just bear with me a second, we'll get started in a second. I see we have a couple of people here, so I might as well go ahead and get started. There have been some developments in this George Floyd case. The police officer that killed this brother, that murdered this brother, has been arrested, and he's been charged with third-degree murder, and he's also been charged with manslaughter. Now, the family issued a statement through their attorney, and they're basically saying that this man should have been charged with first-degree murder and not third-degree murder. From what I recall in the story that I read, this man faces a potential 25-year sentence for third-degree murder, and he faces a 10-year sentence for manslaughter. Now, I can completely understand why the family is completely dissatisfied with these charges. I mean, it's something, but it's not what it should be. Here we have a blatant example of first-degree murder. This police officer knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that he was threatening this man's life because this man, the brother George Floyd, repeatedly said that he could not breathe. He complained to the officer time and time again, saying that he couldn't breathe. But this officer kept his knee on this brother's neck to the point where this brother passed out. And even after he passed out, this cop, this damn pig, kept his knee on top of his brother's neck. His brother was unconscious and he still had his knee on his neck. And when they took him away on the stretcher and everything, he was completely unconscious. And the first responders say that when they checked his pulse, he did not even have a pulse at that point. And the brother later passed away. And it's a clear example of a complete reckless disregard for human life. It is actually deliberate at that point. Anytime you're being told that somebody cannot breathe, multiple times, not only by the brother George Floyd, but by the people in the crowd, and you continue to engage in the activity that's causing this brother not to be able to breathe, that is deliberation. That is a complete disregard for human life. That is the kind of malice that is worthy of a murder charge, first-degree murder. So I completely understand why the family is outraged and not satisfied with this particular charge. Hopefully they will revise the charges and charge this man with what he should be charged with, and that's murder, first-degree murder. So this situation has only, I wouldn't be surprised that if there was no video and there were no protests, I doubt the charges would have been brought. But it's because of the video and because of the public outrage that charges have been filed. And I did my prior video where I talked about the issue of violence, the question of violence. Without a doubt, these charges wouldn't be brought if the city wasn't burning right now, if the people didn't take matters into their own hands right now. And this is just the first part of the process. And even at this stage, this is not real justice because this man is not charged with first-degree murder. If I put my knee on some white man's neck and he was crying over and over again that he couldn't breathe, and I just kept my knee on his neck in a situation where he's completely helpless, there's no way in hell I wouldn't be charged with first-degree murder. And that's the same thing that needs to happen to this police officer. So I'm going to check your comments. You know, I just wanted to hop on here real quick and give you this update. As things develop in this case and other cases, I will be back on here telling you my thoughts and sharing the information with you. Also, I want to remind people again that I will be back on here in a few minutes talking about this gender war that's going on even at a time like this. So I can't wait to get into that. I'm not going to even touch on it right now, but I have to talk about it. I saw a real interesting video by Lashid for you, and she kind of like beat me to the punch because I was going to address that because I saw this video that this black woman YouTuber posted, and I'll go into detail about that later. But that really sparked my interest, and I was like, I have to talk about this. So let me see what you all are saying before I sign out. You know, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Shout out to Micah. Shout out to Sister. Yeah, so Sister said, I'm pretty sure he died right there before he even made it to the hospital. Exactly. I think he was probably dead when he was unconscious because, you know, the EMS people checked him for a pulse. They didn't find one. He was like completely motionless, even though this man was had his knee in his neck. So you're probably right. I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. So peace and blessings, everyone. I'll be right back up with another video, going into another subject that's related to this whole incident involving George Floyd. Peace. See you in a few.